Now, all this attention is put on this leader of the political opposition in Russia that died. He was put in prison by Putin, and and the media always talk about how bad that is, and it is, right? And then in this country, we have the government, those in power, which would be Biden and Obama and these people, putting the leader of the opposition in jail. Trump's been arrested and everything else. And now today, Peter Navarro, one of the senior advisors to President Trump, has been ordered to report to federal prison in Miami on March 19th. And he's got to serve a 4-month sentence for not complying with a subpoena at Liz Cheney's Kangaroo Committee. Let me play that. This is MSNBC today.
I mean, this is the weaponizing of the government.
Yeah. Yeah,
with your political enemies. And people see it, and I retweeted something I know you're going to play of a woman talking about that.
Yeah, well, let me play this clip. This is MSNBC today when this Peter Navarro story broke.
Some breaking news. We have just in here at MSNBC, former Trump aide Peter Navarro is going to go to prison. He's been ordered to report to federal prison on March 19th. He'll begin his 4-month sentence on contempt of Congress charges for defying a subpoena from the January 6th committee. Navarro has asked a court now to stay his sentence while he appeals.
Now, Peter Navarro, first of all, he's 74 years old, by the way. And, I had him, I've interviewed him actually a couple times. And, I had him on the podcast as an interview, Peter Navarro. Then I had him on the radio. And he's a great guy. His only crime is that he worked for Trump, right? And he wanted to make America great again, which is apparently making America great again is a federal crime with these people. But he told this story about his arrest, and it's really frightening. He said he's so close to the Justice Department building where he lives, he can see it from his window of his house, right? And they busted in and arrested him, put him in shackles.
That's insanity.
And listen, Peter Navarro, they put him in shackles, and then they put him in a cell, a holding cell. That was the cell that John Hinckley was in. Now, John Hinckley, for those that don't know, was the man who shot President Reagan. Put him in John Hinckley's cell. Now he's heading off.
What case
to prison.
were they subpoenaing him?
He didn't adhere to the subpoena for the January 6th committee in time. Now this January 6th committee, this is insanity because it just came out today that war criminal Dick Cheney's daughter, Elizabeth Cheney, Liz Cheney, that she suppressed evidence in the committee.
Oh, shocking.
Hid evidence, actually. Hid, which is a crime, right? Evidence of President Trump offering soldiers to guard the Capitol.
That's right.
She suppressed it. And, that is...
They suppressed a lot of things.
And, what's going on in this country today, this lawfare, a lot of people are kind of accepting it. Well, this is normal and everything now because it's been going on for years now against President Trump. This is not normal. This is what happens in dictatorships.
Well, I would say people in the media and in D.C., it's becoming their new normal. But
Yes.
I think people in America, and I retweeted this woman, this black woman, if you want to play it, somebody went up to her, and what she said about Trump pertains to what you're talking about, that the American people see exactly what's going on, and it's frightening them, what's happening. So I don't know if you had that.
I don't have it queued up, so I can't.
Okay, let me look for that while you're in.
Okay, I got it right here, so let me just play this. I've not heard this.
It's good.
I think you stand with Trump.
I'm not stupid.
I could tell the minute I saw you, your eyes lit up when you saw the Trump flags. I was telling her, you know why you stand with Trump? Because beautiful people stand with Trump.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Huh?
How's your drink? That drink looks
It's
beautiful.
really good. It's a mocktail.
Mocktail
Yeah,
is
from
delicious.
one of the vendors.
So what was your answer? Why do you stand with Trump?
I stand with Trump because he's basically representing us, and everything that they're doing to him is what they can do to us.
Yeah.
And the system is broken, and he's fighting for us. So I like his policies. I like how he says it like it is, and and Biden gotta go. I'm sick of him.
And what would you say to a black person that says that you're not black because you're voting for Trump?
Well, then I guess I identify as a white, a white man. I don't know. I don't care what anybody has to say. I'm a mother. I care about the future of my child, and I care about policies over, rhetoric.
Well said.
Hey, do you know how many times Joe Biden's fallen down on national TV?
I lost count.
Take a guess.
I would say just to be, just to be conservative. Yeah. I would say maybe about 10 times.
Ding, 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 ding. You want a free keychain? Donald Trump keychain.
Okay, now the guy that did this, his name's Adam Francisco.
Oh yeah,
He's here in Florida.
Yeah, we love that
he's
guy.
in a different part of Florida. He's over on the West Coast mostly, the Tampa area. And he goes to parks and festivals over in that part of Florida and does, street interviews with people about Trump. And he's the guy. We played this a while back. He was in a drive-through and with his Trump stuff, and this guy was giving him a hard time, and he says, "I don't need your help. Thank you, white liberal savior," and all this stuff.
He's Spanish. This guy.
Yeah. So he's Hispanic. He's very good. But all these things that are going on with Peter Navarro and Trump, things are coming to a head because Trump's coming back. He's coming back strong. There was a huge story has dropped today, and this is on the Georgia case, the Georgia RICO case, which is Fani Willis's case. And this Fani Willis case, everything about it's been falling apart, right? We've been seeing what's going on the last few weeks. But now, Fani Willis's RICO case, and this involves all of them, which it's the Trump 19. Is it 19 with Trump or without Trump? I think it's 19 including Trump. Maybe it's 19 plus Trump. I can't remember now. There's so many. But something new came out. Now, this Georgia case that Fani Willis has is all based around this phone call that President Trump had with the governor. That's right. Now it turns out that phone call was illegally recorded. Yep. And it was recorded by someone involved in a conversation from Florida. Florida is one of those two-party consent states. Okay?
Oh.
But when you have
Georgia?
No, they were in different states. We're talking across,
I see. He was
state lines.
He was in Florida.
The guy that recorded the
was in Georgia.
No, okay. So this is a story, very detailed story in the Gateway Pundit about the phone call. I just want to share some of it, okay? Because it gets very complex. A lot of people here, so I don't want to go through the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But this was a January 2021 call. All right. And Jordan Fuchs, who's was the Deputy Secretary of State of Georgia. Okay, he was on the call and with President Trump. He taped the call from Florida, so he was in Florida without announcing it.
Oh, yeah.
And the Gateway Pundit,
that's not legal here.
Broke this story, and it's a criminal act because in Florida is a two-party consent state. You have to notify someone before you record them in Florida, and Fuchs didn't do that.
Plus, he gave it to the media, and now it's in this Georgia case.
Well, yeah, so Fuchs didn't do that when he recorded Trump talking to the governor and everybody else's people.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's correct. And then the Gateway Pundit says he did a second illegal act. He destroyed the audio recording. It was later discovered in the trash folder on the computer. So now I'm no lawyer.
He's just like Hillary.
I'm no lawyer, but these lawyers, they're just making up the laws as they go anyway. Yep. These prosecutors and judges and everything, they're just making crap up. So you don't have to be a lawyer. They're just making the law up as they go to fit their agenda. But what this means is in this entire Fani Willis RICO case, all of the evidence was illegally obtained, which means it's inadmissible, which means all those cases have to be dismissed.
They absolutely should, but will they?
And plus that, with everything,
you have a corrupt system there, obviously, all the way up to the governor. We know that.
Well,
so they have to do that, and that's good, even if they don't throw out this case, okay? And Trump takes it to a higher court, it will eventually get tossed, or even the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
It'll get tossed because they will obviously adhere to the law and the Constitution. But liberals, they feel they're so deranged. They believe the Constitution is like an illegitimate document. I mean, I've actually heard them say this because it was written by slave owners and all this stuff. I understand that, but that's just the way things were back then. Okay. I mean, like I've said, I don't know, slavery was a horrible thing. We all know that, obviously. But that was the way the world was all over the world, not just here. There were slaves in Europe. There were slaves in Africa. There were slaves on every continent, pretty much. They had slaves in the Renaissance. Slavery goes back to biblical times. Jesus talks about slaves. Jesus even told slaves to obey their masters. I mean, so I'm not condoning it, but they like to say it's illegitimate because of that. No, it's not illegitimate. It is our government. It is our laws. It is what our whole country is based on. But they convince themselves that we're dangerous. See, they have to justify what they're doing. That's why they villainize us so much, because they can't do what they're doing if we're good guys. So they have to make Trump and MAGA out to be dangerous and scary and evil and treacherous and traitorous to justify what they're doing to us, which is illegal and wrong.
Yeah.
But if they make us look bad enough in their mind, then people will say, oh, you know what? He should go to jail because what he did was wrong. So what if they broke the law to get this recording? Who cares? Well, he's a bad guy, and who cares about the law?
You're right. And see, here's part of the thing.
They're scum.
Okay, this is part of the thing that these lowlifes didn't count on, okay? Trump, they did not think Trump would be coming back and so popular. You know, yesterday I went and voted for President Trump in the Florida Republican primary. And he's running unopposed in the Florida primary. Everyone's dropped out. They're all still on the ballot, right? Asa Hutchinson, Chris Christie, DeSantis, you know, all of them, Ramesh. They're all still on the ballot in Florida. But Trump's really running unopposed. And his popularity is greater and higher than anyone had fathomed, especially, I mean, even Trump is surprised at how high his numbers are because he's doing so well in places like New York City. So what these evil doers that are involved in the lawfare thought, and we've talked about this many times, they thought, see, they don't understand the MAGA people, right? They don't understand us. They have this stereotype composite that they think they understand us. They think that we're a bunch of Bible thumpers that support law and order, and as soon as they arrest Trump and get a mugshot because we're law and order supporters, we would drop our support. They thought that. So they arrested him multiple times. They got the mugshot and made him more popular. So they thought that the MAGA voters, that we would all have dropped him after the mugshot, and it had obviously had the opposite
I don't understand
effect.
how, like, people call your show liberals. They see, everybody should read the Gateway Pundit. It's the best. They see that all of this evidence is falsified. It's all made up BS. But they still think Trump's a bad guy. They have all these people collectively lying, falsifying evidence, illegally taping things, doing all these horrible things to railroad one person and to screw over the American people and suppress our vote and who we want to be in office. But we're the bad people?
Yeah.
I don't understand how this is liberal logic at its finest. They're not logical. They're stupid and they're deranged people.
And you know, this is what's insane about it, okay? They went through this before with the Mueller report. The Mueller report had nothing, and they knew they had nothing. They thought that, because remember they said this. Now the Mueller investigation started like basically when Trump took the oath of office. I mean, it was as soon as he was in the White House, they started the Mueller investigation. And what they thought back then, they always said, you know, you can't run the government like a business. A businessman can't run the country.
Right.
They thought that 6 months into his presidency, the country was going to be an economic ruin because you can't run the government like a business. Yeah. And they thought that 6 months in, because they have all these stereotypes. The host of The Celebrity Apprentice would fail, and
they're a bunch of eggheads.
And the American people would be begging on him being removed from office. So they thought the Mueller report didn't really have to have that much, that we would all want him gone after 6 months. Of course, the opposite was true. They just don't learn. And, you know.
What do you think it is about their personality? Because you talk to these idiots all on the radio.
Well, not Fannie Willis. I don't talk to those people.
Yeah, but they're all like-minded. This is what I think it is, that the qualities they share. They think they're better than everybody. They think they're smarter than everybody. They love control and power. All liberals have these common personality traits. That's why they're drawn they own slaves, for God's sakes. That's why they're drawn to having power over people. They created the welfare system to have power over blacks. They created abortion clinics to control the black population. I don't understand how, I guess they're just stupid, how people cannot see what's really going on. And no matter what happens, it's like you could have the evidence all in front of them right here. You could have Liz Cheney go on TV and admit what she did, and they would still think Trump's a horrible guy and that he still deserves what he's getting. I just don't understand that kind of personality. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the kind of person, if somebody shows me something and I'm like, oh, I guess I was wrong. And you know, I can admit that. I still never vote for a liberal, but I can at least say, all right. But, you know, if Trump did something horrible, and there was proof, then obviously I would not deny it. Of course, he doesn't do anything horrible. I'm just speaking in like a hypothetical. But here you have proof after proof after proof of the left lying, manipulating, fabricating, all these things. They don't ever stop and say, gee, what? Now, some are. I'll admit some people are coming around, especially in the black community and the Spanish community. But there are some people still, they can't look at this logically and say, gee, maybe these people on the left, maybe they are railroading this guy.
No, it's happening. That's why Trump's doing so well, Kathy. In these
I guess they are waking up to it.
The people that
are seeing it finally.
The people that we're talking about aren't like voters. They're like these Democrats in government, these establishment lifetime
What is their motivation?
Power. This is how they all make their money, by controlling the government.
What do you think it is about Trump? Because some of them, like Joy Reid, are driven by their pure. Like, remember Joy? Joy Reid said she just hates Donald Trump. Yeah. Probably never met the guy, but she hates white people, but she hates white men. Do you think that's what's really just driving her?
She's different. The people like Liz Cheney and all these others, they they all have different things. Like President Trump was talking about Letitia James over the weekend at the Georgia rally. Letitia James wants to be the Attorney General of the United States. So that's why she's doing it.
So they all have their own agenda and their own ambition.
Fannie Willis wants to be like governor of Georgia. So that's why she's doing it. You know, they're all corrupt. They're all corrupt.
And this is just a stepping stone.
And the ones in Washington, Donald Trump, this is so simple, guys. And the thing that he did, there were two things that Trump did that maybe more than two, but there's a couple of main things that Trump did that turned the Washington establishment against him. One is he didn't start any new wars and ended the wars in the Middle East, because the military-industrial complex donors don't want that. They want more war and longer wars. They make money. The other thing he did was get NATO under control. Military-industrial complex donors don't like that. They want out of control spending. And then the major thing he did was equalize the trade deals. All those the import-export tax trade deals were out of whack, including NAFTA.
So he messed up all their dirty dealings.
All these things were out of whack because these corrupt government officials had all these deals in NAFTA, the trade deal with China, the trade deals with Japan and all these other countries, where we have like no import tax and they have like 80%. And they're all their businesses are built around this corruption, and he messed all that up. And there's many other things too, but those are the main things. It's all about their money. And they've been these Washington class people have been running the government, multi-generational, for 200 years. And
I just don't know how these people sleep
Donald
at
Trump
night.
is.
I guess they have no morals.
Donald Trump is bringing in this new era of people that have not inherited their offices, like Liz Cheney from her dad and stuff like this, that don't have this lifetime of corruption, and they can't handle it, and they're out to stop them because of that. They're afraid of the next president. Like look at Carrie Lake, when that guy went to bribe her and she turned it down. Right? If she didn't run, he was like he couldn't believe it because they all take the money. He thought she was just negotiating for more money. Remember?
Yeah, well, that's how it works. And you know what's sad is when you're in that world, and this probably happens in Hollywood too, and you're living in that world, there's a lot of temptation. And, like the Bible says, you can't serve two masters. If you love money and power and fame, you're not going to love God. And what happens is they get desensitized to these things and they start living in a very small bubble and they lose perspective. Like people in the media that are on ABC, like George Stephanopoulos, that piece of garbage, Joy Reid, Jen Psaki, they're such snobs. They all live in Manhattan in penthouses and have maids and butlers and chefs and hang out in the Hamptons on the weekends. They don't want anything to do. They're like the lords of the manor, and we're the serfs tilling the field.
Yeah.
They don't want anything to do with us. They don't care what we think. It's not just that they've lost touch. Naturally, they have chosen to lose touch. They don't want to be back in touch with the way things are. They don't care, and they have sold their soul, as far as I'm concerned, to the devil and the devil, the money devil, and they want to keep that going. And Brett Baer too. He's another. All these people on Fox, like you said, they pay them so much money that they can't turn away from it, and they just say whatever they're told to say, and they start drinking the Kool-Aid and believe in their own crap.
This thing with Stephanopoulos, where I did the whole show this morning, so I'm not going to go through it now. But when he battered and victim shamed Nancy Mace, George Stephanopoulos makes $30 million a year at ABC, $30 million a year, and that. It's like all the rest. They overpay him so much so they can control him for their propaganda and get him to spew their propaganda because he'll do whatever it is he's got to do so he can afford to live in the Hamptons.
Well, he was always a liberal, and even when he was with Clinton, when he wasn't making millions and millions of dollars, he was a pig even then with women.
Yeah.
And, I remember if you see Primary Colors, it's such a good movie with John Travolta and Emma Thompson. It's a great movie, and it's based on the Clintons. And there's a part where something I can't remember specifically, but something horrible happens, and Kathy Bates tells them of this thing that's happened, and immediately their brain goes to, well, how can we use this to our political advantage? It was like some tragic event. No, somebody died.
No, there was
somebody committed suicide or something.
Yes, that's right. Kathy Bates was the campaign manager, committed suicide.
No, I'm not sure if that was it. I remember there was a scene where Emma Thompson looked at John Travolta and said, well, how can we spin this to help you win? Or something like that. That's how these people think. People don't matter. We're just pawns in their little power game.
That's right.
And that's how, like in Clash of the Titans with the gods up top with the chessboard, that's how it is. And they lose perspective. They lose touch with people, with reality. And they get desensitized. And after a while, they sleep well at night because they don't even realize what they're doing. It becomes so natural to them and so normal. It's their new normal that they don't even see how what they're doing is horrible. They justify it in their mind.
That's absolutely correct. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy.
Step into an alternate 1948 where geniuses, captains of industry, and crackpots unite in Skyways of Tomorrow, Flight of the Golden Goose, from author Roberto Scarlato. In a quest to create the true car of tomorrow, Preston Tucker and Howard Hughes embark on an epic venture. Little is known of their work, but shadowy figures threaten to derail their efforts. Can they expose the saboteurs, or will they be considered harbingers of a dark future? Find out when you read Skyways of Tomorrow, Flight of the Golden Goose, from author Roberto Scarlato. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Audible, and iTunes. Also visit the author's website, robertoscarlatovoice.com. Skyways of Tomorrow, Flight of the Golden Goose, from author Roberto Scarlato. Order your copy right now. AI. It's what everyone's talking about. If you think you know and understand AI, guess again. Get ready for a groundbreaking journey into the future of technology with The Future of AI, a new podcast by Podcast X. The Future of AI is unlike any podcast you've listened to before. The Future of AI is created by AI, voiced and hosted by AI, and covers all the news about AI, including the latest insights and innovations from the forefront of AI research and development. From intricate machine learning algorithms algorithms to the ethical considerations in society, the future of work, and beyond. The future of AI covers everything. There's also discussions on the latest tools and technologies, as well as insights into the cutting-edge advancements shaping our world. Whether you're an AI enthusiast, a professional staying ahead of the game, or just curious about how AI is changing our world, the future of AI is your gateway to understanding AI like never before. The Future of AI by Podcast X is available on Spotify. Share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can subscribe too. Add The Future of AI by Podcast X to your Spotify playlist right now. The new graphic novel from author Earl Tamura is now available on Amazon. Border Barrier. Set on a remote international moon base, Border Barrier takes you on a journey of scientific marvels and dark secrets. Join American theorist Dr. Virgil Jeevy as he embarks on a top-secret project that could alter the course of humanity. With the discovery of a mysterious substance, Virgil develops an AI program to unlock its secrets. But the moon base is not just a hub of discovery, it's a web of enigmas and potential dangers. In a place where allies and adversaries are indistinguishable, Virgil faces the ultimate test. Unraveling the truth behind the origin of the substance becomes a race against time, with the fate of mankind hanging in the balance. Border Barrier is a sci-fi mystery, a tale of intrigue and survival, where trust is a luxury and every decision could be the difference between salvation and catastrophe. Order your copy right now. Available in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Border Barrier from author Earl Tamura. Available on Amazon. Journey to the heart of Texas with Echoes of Grace from author Roxy Curry. In this deeply personal memoir, the author shares her story of faith, challenges, and the transformative path to healing. Roxy's journey leads to unexpected places, but through it all, God's grace shines like a bright light, providing direction and comfort. Echoes of Grace is a testament that even when our choices deviate from the planned path, grace is a constant presence. In Echoes of Grace, the author unveils vulnerabilities and strength, and also celebrates self-discovery. It's about accepting imperfections, finding strength within, and embracing every aspect of who she is, the good, the tough, and everything in between. Echoes of Grace illuminates the incredible power of faith and God's enduring grace. Echoes of Grace from author Roxy Curry is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Echoes of Grace from author Roxy Curry. Order your copy right now on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Okay, we're back. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much for tuning in. You know, What's going on in this country so far as crime is not an accident, right? All these DAs that Soros has put around and police chiefs and sheriffs and everybody else that he's implanted in government positions. This crime wave is by design, and it's a way to bring down the country. And in Pittsburgh, have you seen what they're doing in Pittsburgh, Kathy?
No.
Oh, my goodness. This clip here, this is from the local news in Pittsburgh. You know The Purge? You guys know The Purge?
Yes.
That's basically what Pittsburgh is going to be now. Listen to this.
This
I want to play this from the local news in Pittsburgh so you can hear it and then we'll talk about it. This is crazy.
Rick, what was the big takeaway today?
Yeah, Susan, residents of the city will see a major change in the way police respond. They will no longer respond to calls that aren't considered in-progress emergency. That means calls like criminal mischief, theft, harassment, and most burglary alarms will all be handled by an enhanced telephone reporting unit. That means residents will file a police report over the phone. Officers will not respond unless it's an emergency. Also, between the hours of 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., there will be no officers at any of the 6 stations throughout the city. Call boxes that link directly to 911 have been installed for people to use in case of an emergency. And during the overnight shift, there will be as few as 20 officers to cover the entire city.
Yeah, I would leave
Chief
Pittsburgh.
said today, the data supports that.
It's going to become Escape from New York.
Yes, it's enough to cover the entire city in those hours when we have 8% of the time people are calling. I'm confident in the decisions that we make, that it impacts this bureau and the city in a much
what is this
better
about?
way than we have in the past.
Now, the chief also acknowledging today that some of these changes are due to staffing shortages. He's down to 740 officers, well below the 850 they would like to have. Now, coming up new at 5, residents, city council, and the...
Okay, now what's this about? What this is about is increasing a crime wave to weaken the country. And Pittsburgh's a major city. Okay, this thing...
Well, he said there's a staffing shortage.
Oh,
so,
that's nonsense.
Well, maybe there is, and maybe all the cops have left. And this is now, instead of admitting that they screwed up and drove everybody out, they're going to say that this is their new... This will be fun for people.
Not if you live there.
Pittsburgh, yeah, I would leave.
You know, this thing about police stations. So police stations aren't going to be manned at night. Police stations are very important, and I'll tell you a quick thing that happened to me a few years ago involving a police station. I was going to the radio studio, one of our, not the one I'm currently in, but Steve and I, for many, many years, had our own private studio in an office building. And I was on my way to the studio, and it was in a weird area, kind of a residential area. People did not, And I stopped off somewhere to get coffee, and I left, and these two guys were following me in a pickup truck. They followed me out, and I thought, this is crazy. And I had to make some turns on some different streets to get to the place. They made the turns with me. And
I remember this.
And I pulled into the parking lot where the radio studio was at. They pulled behind me into the parking lot, and this was in Coral Springs, here in South Florida, where our old studio was. And that was pretty scary because they followed me down 4 or 5 different odd streets, side streets, through a residential neighborhood, and then into the parking lot. So what I did, this is like 4:45, 5 in the morning, I drove to the police station, which was down the street. And when I got to the police station, they were in a pickup truck. They were undercover. They were undercover police.
Oh.
And they put their sirens on and pulled me over. They said to me, "Why are you driving to the police station?" And I said, "Because you've been following me through all these weird streets."
They were very slick.
And I said, obviously you're a police officer. You're in an unmarked vehicle. You're two guys in this truck, and I'm and he says, "Where were you going?" I said, "I was going to work." And I said, "I'm coming to the police station because, as far as I knew, you guys were going to rob me or do something." But
so what are you saying?
And they let me go. I did nothing wrong, by the way. They said, "Well, you made a suspicious turn." I said, "A suspicious turn?"
But they weren't being suspicious.
I said, "Yeah, because you were following me through this neighborhood, and it scared me."
Suspicious.
That's just some police excuse to pull somebody over and harass them. But anyway, police stations are safe zones for people that have a situation like mine, people that are crime victims. And plus, I'm out on the roads at early hours of the morning because of when I go to work. And they're talking about 3 to 7 in the morning. There's not going to be police officers. They're only going to have like 20 cops in the whole city. All the police stations will be closed.
All the criminals are going to move to Pittsburgh now.
That's right.
You're right. It's the purge. That's insane.
And this is what I've noticed, okay? Because I've been out at these hours my entire adult life.
Yes.
I used to be on the air at 3 a.m.
Right.
So I've always been out between the hours of 3 and 5:30 in the morning on the roads all over our community, going to different radio stations and studios I worked at. And that's when the scariest people in around are out and about. They're the 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. people are the scariest. Okay, look what happened to me.
Well, a lot of them are leaving the bars too.
Look what happened to me a few weeks ago when I went and got gas.
Yeah.
At like 4:35 in the morning, and a homeless guy, came up to me.
Yeah,
that was
it's
covered
not a
up
good time to be out wandering
in a
around.
quilt.
But that's when you go to work, like you said.
And to have no police on duty, no police stations, and by the way, they won't answer calls. So like if we saw someone,
so if somebody breaks into your house at 3:30 in the morning,
good luck.
That's frightening.
It's the purge. And to announce it is stupid.
Announce it is absolutely
because
insane.
what they've just done is told the criminals of the world, come to Pittsburgh. There's
it's
no
like
police.
In San Francisco, when they announced they're giving out free needles. What do you think that means?
Exactly.
All the heroin addicts are going to go move to San Francisco.
Exactly.
They're going to get free stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, liberals are, Brian.
They've lost their minds.
Everything, like Trump said, everything they touch turns to shit. And he says that all the time, and it's true. He said that about Joe Biden the other night. The crowd went nuts. That's true about all liberals. Everything they touch turns to that. I'm sorry, they don't know what they're doing. I don't know. Sometimes they're being paid to do it and they're corrupt. Sometimes they really feel that what they're doing is right and they just are stupid. You know, like Peter Navarro said, when you asked him, is it corruption or stupidity? He said it's a mix, or he said the trifecta. What was it? Corruption, stupidity, and something else. And he said it's a trifecta. He said they just don't live in reality. If you live in any of these big cities, it's not fun right now. And I think that's what's going. So I wonder what the people of the city think. I'm sure they're not. Pittsburgh's a big city.
Well, they can't think anything good. I mean,
how are 20 cops going to be able to handle a major city like Pittsburgh? I mean, it's a pretty big city, isn't it?
In Maine,
that's crazy.
This story just broke this afternoon. In Maine, another DA who's funded by Soros.
There you go.
She's no longer going to prosecute illegal immigrants with a whole list of crimes, including traffic offenses, driving without a license, driving with a suspended registration, and a whole bunch more. Mm-hmm. So they're announcing, first off, you can be here illegally, which is a crime. Yep. And then all of these other crimes that you may commit while you're here, we're not going to prosecute you for them. When George Soros about 12, 15 years ago started backing local district attorneys, all the conservatives predicted that this would happen. And what's happened is there's a major crime wave that is taking place by design.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be. That this is, to me, it's more corruption than stupidity, that this is being done on purpose. But to what end? Just somebody sitting there enjoying the whole world? I think a lot of this has to do with China and people in very, very, very high places with a lot of money have, for whatever personal reason, an interest in destroying America. And I think China has a lot behind this. And George Soros, who we know just loves to play games and F everything up with people. Mm-hmm. And I think that has a lot to do with that. And they just want anarchy in the streets. And, innocent people are getting hurt.
Yeah.
These illegals are coming in and killing people. And they just don't seem to care. I mean, I really don't know how these people sleep at night. Here you have Joe Biden, who got that girl's name wrong, Lincoln Riley, called her Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
And even though he even had her button in his hand where the name was spelled out, what an idiot. And then he goes on TV and apologizes to the alleged murderer, rapist. I mean, what kind of a world are we living in here? That is just some sick stuff. I mean, her poor parents, my goodness.
I can't imagine.
Thank God they met with Trump, and at least he was able to give them some comfort and consolation and probably said, look, when I'm back in, this is all going to stop and your daughter will not have died in vain. But I mean, how do you as a person, like I said, I think these people just lose touch with reality.
They're anarchists.
And they hate America, and they have an agenda, and they seem to not be worried about it or be bothered by everything they're doing. They justify it in their mind. It's crazy.
Yeah, no,
it's lunacy.
You're absolutely correct. And what's this thing in Pittsburgh? You look at what's going on in New York, where criminals can do all kinds of. There's no bail. They can beat up cops. They get out. Now in Pittsburgh, they're not even going to. They're like doing away with the police. And
that's insane.
like we live in Palm Beach County, where Mar-a-Lago is. Talk about this a lot. Palm Beach County. In Palm Beach County, there's an ordinance against panhandling on intersections. It's a big thing. We had in Florida, because our weather is so beautiful and perfect. In the wintertime, the homeless people from New York, like the birds, they come to Florida.
The weather's so beautiful today.
They come here with the birds during the winter, and then they go back to New York during the summer because it's too humid here. And you have panhandlers on street corners all over the place. So we passed an ordinance that you can't panhandle on street corners asking people for money. And most of the time, there's nobody there. But there are some officers that enforce it and some officers that don't.
Right.
And the panhandlers know which day those cops are off work. So when the cops that enforce it are off, they're panhandling and they get away with it. Because criminals spend a lot of time and effort to do crime. So
well, yeah, and they know how to work the system.
When Pittsburgh says, okay, between the hours of 3 and the police will not respond. Think about this. This is what they're saying. Just like the Purge. Between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., all police stations will be closed. This entire major metropolitan city of Pittsburgh will only have 20 officers on duty citywide, and police will not respond to calls throughout the city. So you're telling criminals between 3 and 7 a.m., it's your city.
It's like in California, you can steal things under $1,200. And you were telling me the other day you went to Target and went shopping with Emily.
Well, our daughter, when we went out,
you were going to make a joke, but you didn't.
Well, what happened is when I went out to visit our daughter in Los Angeles, I had forgotten some things, and so she took me to Target.
Right.
Okay, I didn't take, and so I go to Target and bought some things, and I go to check out, and I started to say this, and then I was afraid that she'd get triggered and freak out. I was going to say, when I went to the register to check out, I was going to say to the cashier, this is on the tip of my tongue. I said, since this is California, do I have to pay for this or can I just walk out?
You probably could.
She might have said, yeah, you could go.
It's insanity. I mean, yeah, when I don't know what it is, but the liberals seem to love criminals. I mean, I guess because they have a criminal mindset themselves.
Yeah.
They seem to sympathize with it. But I would like you to bring this up on the radio this week and see if you can get anybody from Pittsburgh to call in.
Oh, my goodness.
You've got to have people in Pittsburgh that listen to you.
It's crazy.
You have people from all over the country and try to say, I want somebody from Pittsburgh to call me and tell me what you guys are thinking about this. You live there. This is going to be happening. What are you going to do about it? It's going to become like Escape from New York when Snake Plissken went into New York City to get the president. It's going to be when you got the Duke running around.
When I moved out of my parents' house and I moved out on my own, and I first started on the radio, when I first met Kathy, I lived in this apartment that was in one of the most high crime areas.
You wouldn't even let me come to your apartment.
No, I thought you would be scared and break up with me because it was such a bad high crime area.
It's true.
And it was all I could afford. And I had a roommate. Yeah. And still I could barely afford it. Sometimes I'd come home and the electricity would be off.
No, you are not seeing where I live.
Yeah, the water.
Literally, I never saw your apartment.
It wasn't. Well, I drive by there. I've driven you by there to see.
Yes.
And we'll look at it and everything else. The whole area is now like an art district. It's been redone. But anyway, I used to have all kinds of crime take place. I had a homeless guy try to break into my home while I was in it, and I called the police, and it took them 2.5 hours to respond. The guy was outside for an hour banging on the doors and the windows, and it took him 2.5 hours to respond.
They were afraid to go.
There was all kinds of crime. When you live in a low – it was a pretty bad apartment, but it was close to the beach. I tell you, it was like a mile from the beach.
That area now has all been developed. It's all been bought up by big developers.
It's all fancy now.
Yeah.
My apartment building I lived in is still there. It's just been renovated.
Yeah. Now it's probably cost $5,000 a month to live there.
This guy was literally, and what had happened was he had knocked at the door, and I thought it was my roommate coming home, and I just went and opened the door, and it was this homeless guy.
That's nuts.
And he started to walk in. And I pushed him out, and he put his foot in the door.
He's probably hopped up.
And I had to push him out again, and I locked the door. I called 911, and he's like, "Let me in, mother."
It's like what's that? The Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. I called 911. I called them several times.
Oh my gosh.
And I was even holding the phone up to the 911. Listen, and he's like, "Let me in, mother effer," and still 2.5 hours to respond. And there were other incidents, but that was crazy, right? And then in our house now, we live in a nice area now, and Kathy and I, we live in a beautiful neighborhood and everything, and it's a nice neighborhood. And the kid across the street gets his bike stolen, and I see the kid stealing the bike, and I know the kid because this kid I've known him since before he started school. Right, he went to school with our daughter, and he had his bike on the side of his house, and these two kids came and took his bike and rode off on it. I couldn't believe it. I was in the living room, so I called 911 because I know the kid, and 5 police cars showed up in 5 minutes
less than
for the stolen bike. Yep. And then they put me in the car and had me drive around and had me ID the kid. and the bike and everything. I couldn't, and I was telling the cop the story about the homeless guy at Fort Lauderdale. I said a bicycle. 5 of you guys responded in 5 minutes. I said, guys breaking into my house in Fort Lauderdale, 2.5 hours. The guy got tired and went away. And it's but the reason I tell
now
this,
it's going to be worse in Pittsburgh.
Here's the thing. When you live in a low income neighborhood that's a high crime area like I did when I moved out on my own, you're treated differently by the government, the authorities, and the police. When you live in a suburb, you're a suburban mom, Kathy. When you live in I'm a suburban dad. When you live in a nice suburban area like we're in, you get treated like concierge with the police. We got concierge police here, right? But those same police, it's the same department in a low income, high crime area, they treat you like
now
trash.
In Pittsburgh, they're going to have no police.
So Pittsburgh,
Good luck.
This is what the criminals know. They can go to New York and do crime.
Yep.
Now they can go to Pittsburgh and do crime.
They can go to California to do drugs.
Between 3 and 7 a.m. though.
Right, exactly.
There's no police response between, what the hell?
And that's like the worst time.
It's the worst.
It's not like 3 in the afternoon till 7 when people are working and coming home. That's like the scariest time. I mean, if I lived there, I'd reset my sleep schedule.
And another
I'd get up at 2:45 in the morning and sit with my gun in my lap, staring at my door
bathtub
till 7 in the morning, I guess.
Kathy,
and then go to bed at 7 at night.
And here's the thing too: they're going to have 20 police officers citywide. Okay, that doesn't mean they're all on the road. Between those hours are when the road is loaded with drunk drivers. It's going to
see how many people live in that city.
So now people in Pittsburgh will know between 3 and 7 a.m. they can drive drunk home and everything else when the 5 a.m. bars close.
Okay, there's 300,400 people in Pittsburgh.
In the city, but there's suburbs too outside of the city limits, like in any other big city.
No, but you said there's 20 cops.
20 cops.
Okay, that's one cop for every 15,000 people.
Yeah.
That should work.
That's great. I mean, this is nuts.
I just did the math.
Now, I want to tell you.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
If I were in Pittsburgh with this information, it still would not be difficult for me to sleep at night because we got all these great MyPillow products. And the free shipping continues.
Well, you might have to sleep a different schedule. You're up early anyway.
The free shipping continues with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. Now, this free shipping is site-wide. It's on every item in the store, no matter how large, no matter how small, no matter how light, no matter how heavy. Free shipping with our promo code Kane. Plus, you get the special deal, right? Because, you can save up to 80% off. So you get the savings on the special plus free shipping. This free shipping will end without notice. I check it all the time. It will end without notice. I have no idea when. So take advantage. Go to mypillow.com and load up. Use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Free shipping site-wide at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane, Kane. We'll be right back.
The new book from author Roxy Curry is now available on Amazon. Should I Stay or Should I Go? Your faith-based guide to overcoming narcissistic relationships. Guided by her unwavering light of faith and personal wisdom, the author's goal for this book is to help you navigate the confusion and pain caused by covert narcissists, especially within the context of Christian values. Author Roxy Curry draws from her personal struggles, offering hard-earned insights that empower readers to make pivotal choices between enduring the storm or seeking a new beginning. In Should I Stay or Should I Go? Perseverance, faith, and actionable advice converge to guide you through the challenges of a narcissistic relationship. In this must-read book, you'll learn how to identify the imperceptible chains that narcissists craft through manipulation and their force of personality, as well as how these bonds can be shattered by the hammers of prayer, self-reflection, and empowered courage. Author Roxy Curry's first book, Echoes of Grace, was her memoir that chronicled her personal struggles and successes. At its heart lies a complex relationship with Victor, testing her beliefs and resilience. Through her unwavering faith, she emerged with a renewed sense of self and a profound understanding of God's grace. Should I Stay or Should I Go? Your faith-based guide to overcoming narcissistic relationships from author Roxy Curry is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Order your copy right now and reclaim your faith, your courage, and your self-worth. Have you dreamed of transforming your old, outdated kitchen into a modern and vibrant one? You can do just that with Cabinet Makeover Pro, located in Miami. And don't worry about a huge price tag for new kitchen cabinets, because Cabinet Makeover Pro specializes in refacing your existing cabinets. They'll bring new life to your kitchen without breaking the bank. The results? A stunning transformation that will make your kitchen look brand new. Cabinet Makeover Pro are experts in breathing new life into your space. Their focus is on renovating and enhancing existing cabinets in kitchens, bathrooms, or any area in need of a facelift. They do everything too, from painting and changing hardware to new doors and handles. They'll give those old cabinets a modern and functional appearance. Cabinet Makeover Pro is committed to quality, attention to detail, and tailoring solutions to your specific needs. Visit their website, cabinetmakeoverpro.com. View their before and after photos. You will be impressed. Ready to transform your kitchen? Schedule your free consultation right now at cabinetmakeoverpro.com or call them directly, 786-805-3531, 786-805-3531. You can also follow them on Instagram at Cabinet Makeover Pro. Cabinet Makeover Pro, experienced, licensed, insured, and turning dreams into stunning kitchen realities. CabinetMakeoverPro.com. Have you ever found yourself wanting to make a change for the better, either in your business or personal life, but you didn't know where to start? Or maybe you've tried and didn't succeed. There's a podcast that's going to revolutionize the way you approach improvement, 1% at a time. 1% Better by TriCentral. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Amazon Music. I know what you're thinking. 1% doesn't sound like much, but think about this. Improve just 1% a week? That adds up to 67% improvement over a year. Improve 1% a day, and you're looking at a mind-blowing 37,000% improvement. That's 37 times better. One story could be the catalyst for your 1% improvement journey. 1% Better by TriCentral invite expert guests to share their stories. Guests like Teddy B. Kelly, Chief Technology Officer at Land O'Lakes. He shares his life from his childhood in Ethiopia to leading technology initiatives at a Fortune 500 company. Finn Golding, author and founder of Enterprise Flow, and he shares how he helps organizations transform. Carrie Hoffman, who's the CEO of Hoffman Digital, who shares lessons for breakthrough changes in organizations both large and small. And that's just the beginning. Improvement isn't just about business. It's about transforming your entire life. Career development, fitness, finances. 1% Better by TriCentral cover it all. TriCentral's a business improvement company, and they host this podcast with a mission to improve lives, 1% at a time. So whether you're driving to or from work, taking an afternoon stroll, just pop in your earbuds or turn on your Bluetooth in your car and give them a listen. You will be hooked. 1% Better by TriCentral is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Amazon Music. Also visit their website, tricentral.com/podcast. Are you ready to start your journey towards remarkable growth? Then add 1% Better by TriCentral to your podcast playlist right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. You know, Libs of TikTok is amazing, and the liberals on their list of people that they want to destroy, Libs of TikTok is in the top 10. And you know, Trump's obviously number one. And Libs of TikTok, it's really amazing. You know, if Elon Musk had not bought Twitter, Libs of TikTok would have been deplatformed from Twitter.
Absolutely.
Right. But Libs of TikTok, if you remember, is who exposed that Zoom meeting from Disney that led to legislation in Florida and the woke Disney being exposed and all this. And many other things. And they did a story, Libs of TikTok exposed a story on a high school kid who drove his pickup truck to school with an American flag. And he was, of course, told to take the offensive American flag off his truck.
Incredible.
And the next day, like, all the students showed up with American flags on their cars.
Good. They're treating it like it's the Confederate flag. Which kids used to have on their cars when I was in high school.
I bet if it was the Mexican flag, they wouldn't tell them to take it down.
Probably not.
But
or the Ukrainian flag.
This is a local news story. Libs of TikTok made this story a national story.
Wherever 17-year-old Cameron Blazek goes, so does Old Glory. The flag itself represents this country, this beautiful country that we live in.
He fastened the flag to his truck this summer.
It's very strongly secured in there. I mean, you can't pull that out if you tried.
It abides by the U.S. flag code.
I got pulled aside by my counselor and vice principal, and they told me, hey, you got to remove the flag off the back of your truck. And I kind of looked at him. I said, no. I said, it's not going to happen. I said, I can't.
Cameron held the line.
Read through East Central's 2023-2024 handbook, and the word flag wasn't even mentioned in the parking lot or driving section.
Wow.
The only section it's mentioned in is the flag twirling section.
Boy.
The next day at school, others showed up with flags of their own.
There was a huge support group there that believed and stood for the same thing that I did, and I was kind of shocked by that.
That's when the principal sent a letter to parents Friday to, quote, address recent concerns and confusions, writing, I am pleased to inform you that we are allowing the display of the U.S. flag by students in the parking lot.
They're allowing
Principal Black clarified to WCPO in an email that there has never been a complaint about the U.S. flag. One literally hangs above the parking lot, and that school administrators decided Friday they would, quote, prohibit other flags if they were determined to be offensive. A social media post about all this went viral.
I was pretty surprised by it that it got so many views and pretty much
This was libs of TikTok.
the attention it did.
There are veterans in this family, and Cameron himself is considering serving.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of him. He stood his ground and stood up for what he believed in.
The American flag has been politicized in recent years. One poll shows 83% of Republicans have a very positive view of the American flag. That number drops to 49% for Democrats.
I think everybody gets offended over something that doesn't mean what everybody says it does. This flag represents our country and the people who died for it and fought for it, and I respect that with my whole heart.
Okay, now this thing. Oh,
Good for him. He sounds like a very intelligent young man.
So only half of Democrats have respect for. What's happened in this. We've got a lot of problems with this country. Okay, with what the liberals have done. But one of the biggest problems that has happened that has not been addressed is we've let the anti-American woke liberals take over our entire education system.
Yeah.
And the Moms for Liberty is doing a lot of work to help this. It's more than just school boards. The MAGA movement, we need a mass recruitment of teachers, of recruiting young people. Charlie, when we get through this election, I know we're going to have to start worrying about the second MAGA president, but Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA, I'd so much like to see him be able to start a recruitment drive for MAGA young people that are in high school and college to start careers in teaching in the public school. And the reason this happened, it's the whole bureaucracy, is because Republicans were all about independence and working for yourself, having your own business, being business-minded, and that's all good. But what's happened is not just the education system, the entire government bureaucracy, not just local but nationally, in every state is controlled by leftists. We really need a major recruitment drive. Since when is the American flag offensive to anyone in this country? That's crazy.
It's incredible. I know, it blows my mind. But you're right. If they had a Mexican flag or a Ukrainian flag, nobody would say a damn thing.
The Ukrainian flag, they'd love that one. They would be very excited about the Ukrainian flag. And, the thing, it's nice to see there's been a big change in this country with young people.
Yes.
And of being pro-American and things that was gone for a long time.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with Charlie Kirk and Trump. And there must be some movement that we're not aware of that's helping educate these kids.
Yeah, and it's I'm glad it's out there. But
it's amazing.
What happens is, it's like this poll worker I ran into yesterday. Those of you that saw my YouTube video on this yesterday afternoon, it was Sunday. Early voting in the Republican primary in Florida started, and I went and voted yesterday afternoon. Kathy, you'll go. I got to take you to vote. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kathy wasn't feeling well and couldn't go. And I had this run-in with this poll worker who was triggered by my MAGA hat. I did an entire YouTube video on this. And every aspect of the government, no matter how large or small, whether it's the librarian or the school teacher or they're all leftist activists. And we really need to get young. I know government doesn't pay as much as, owning your own business a lot.
Republicans become entrepreneurs.
But we need to start getting people involved in these things because one of the reasons we're having so many problems in this country, we don't have enough conservatives in these jobs. I'll tell you another thing. We need not just conservative police officers, we need conservative police chiefs and conservative sheriffs. You know, when they had this shooting, remember in Houston a couple weeks ago, all they were concerned about were using the proper pronouns of the shooter. I mean, that's insane.
It is.
You know, you need to have we need to get conservative people in all aspects of government. Now,
well, you know, and you can do your part. And there was a guy on that rapper, what's his name, Killer Mike or something, and he was on The View, and he supports Trump, and he said that you really need to not focus always on the national things, but get involved with your local government. And he's so right about that. So many things happen on a local level that people don't even pay attention to.
That's right.
And with school boards and county commissioners and even things like that can affect how you live. I mean, look what's happening in Pittsburgh. That's a local decision that was made by the mayor probably and the local commissioners there.
That police chief is probably a Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, it really does matter. I mean, we all get caught up in the national elections, of course, but it's so important to pay attention to even things going on, I always say, at your children's schools. Yeah. That's political too.
Absolutely. Now, this is a clip from Fox Business.
Grocery prices have skyrocketed 25% since 2019, outpacing overall inflation.
Okay. Now, this is crazy, you know, the food prices. Now, you know, now it's just the two of us. Our daughter's grown up and moved out on her own, right? She's going to be 25 this month, which is crazy to me to think. But, you know, it's just the two of us. What must it be like for families that have kids living at home, little kids and multiple kids? You know, a 25% increase across the board in food, and that means a lot of the foods are even increased more than that. You know, we don't go to the grocery store in person mostly. We do the Instacart, and a lot of people say, "Well, Instacart charges more for the items." That is true, but it's still—
I do Walmart too. Walmart delivers too. Walmart's pretty cheap.
It saves us money because even though they charge more for the items, we don't buy anything that's not on the list, right? Because I got some things I like. If I go to the grocery store in person, I'm not going to stick to I'm going to get the list, and then I'm going to get Twizzlers, and then I'm going to get, you know, I love Pepsi. Then I'm going to get something. You know, I'm going to get some Lay's potato chips. You know what I mean? If it's but when you do Instacart, you stick to the list, and even though they charge a little more per item, it saves us money. And I don't know, that couponing and all that stuff never worked for me. You know. But food.
Well, a lot of families now are shopping at the Dollar Tree and buying food there. And I have to say that the Dollar Tree really, and it shouldn't be this way, but they really are filling a need.
That's right.
For people that are really struggling.
That's right.
And I see more and more people online, on social media, doing hacks or doing recipe ideas. And it's not like fresh food. It's all mostly frozen stuff or processed. But a lot of people go there and buy frozen pizzas, pastas, things like that. And then they come up with clever ways to make it a little better. You shouldn't have to shop at the Dollar Tree to feed your family. I'm glad that they're available because they are filling a major need right now. And I commend them for that. And I hope they offer as much as possible.
I was talking about this on the last podcast episode over the weekend. I started seeing, and I don't know why this came up because this had nothing to do with what I was searching for, but on YouTube I started getting recommended the whole new genre of women that are doing their grocery shopping at the dollar stores.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, it's big. It's big on TikTok too.
And what's happened is with the Bidenomics, which I tell you guys is not an economic plan; it's a diet plan. People our families are grocery shopping and doing meal prep like we're in the Great Depression.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And it shouldn't have to be that way.
Or like it's during World War II where you had to ration things.
That's right. I mean, this is America.
Yeah, no, that's what it's like. It is a depression, and they're not going. They keep going on TV and telling you how wonderful things are, while people are working 3 jobs and shopping at the Dollar Tree for food.
And I tell you, I don't know how it is for those of you out there whose kids have grown. All right. But when we had our daughter, of course, living with us, we were more official about meals, right?
Efficient, you mean?
Official and efficient. No, official, because Okay, it's dinner time, it's lunchtime, it's breakfast time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now that
well, we had a kid to feed.
Yeah, now it's just the two of us. We really this is just our habit. I guess it's different. We only really have like one big meal a day.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I shouldn't even use the word big. We just have like one meal a day. And it's lunch when I come home from work. When I get off the air in the mornings, we'll come home, and then around 10 or 11, we'll have lunch. And that's really about it. Have something little small,
like cereal.
Yeah, yeah,
for dinner.
That guy,
or soup.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind. I
don't really cook anymore.
No,
so.
I could have some cereal or some soup for dinner. But when you have a kid at home, you want to make sure that you have a certain dinner time.
I feel bad for these mothers that have.
I don't know what they're doing.
3 or 4 kids. And of course, as a mother,
Biden does not care.
And a father, you want to make sure your children are well fed. And that's a huge, when Emily was living here and little, it caused me a lot of stress to make sure, even though, there were times where we had to be really efficient and budget, but there were times that we didn't. But it made me very stressed out to make sure she was getting a proper lunch and breakfast and everything. I was like, okay, I want to make sure this kid gets everything she needs. And that's how it is when you're a parent. You want to make sure they have everything they need to have a productive day. I can't imagine these women that have multiple children.
I don't know what they're
doing. Some of them aren't married, or or they are married, and they have to go to the Dollar Tree to feed their family. And they must feel... Well, now it's becoming a trendy thing to do, but part of them probably feels bad because it's not the best quality food. And I'm sure they'd love to go buy them all fresh fruits and vegetables and put them in a Vitamix and make them, expensive smoothies to feed them really well. But instead they're buying Totino's pizza rolls, and giving them that instead. And I'm sure it's tough.
I could live off Totino's pizza.
Well,
I love Totino's pizza.
But mothers want to feed their children healthier things.
And the problem is
it's more expensive now.
The food prices are up 25%. Everything else is up too, but the wages aren't really going up. And people are really struggling, and it's a shame. And Biden doesn't care. They don't care. And that's what's so there's so many things that are upsetting about this regime that's running this country into the ground. But the thing that's the most offensive to me is how they don't care about American suffering.
No, they don't care about Americans at all. You got Americans getting killed
unless you're South
by
American,
illegals, and they're apologizing to the illegals.
Now,
it's a disgrace.
Now, I'd like to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, John, Paulette, Carlos, Mike P, Macho, Wesley, Nick, Rick, ActicFox, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, George, and Constance. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much, guys. And again, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description. All right, guys, we'll be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for listening.